Sean and Cass in bed in Maine, where we get our best work done.
It's the best light up here, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's kind of a foggy, rainy day, classic Maine day. And yeah, we're chasing the light. There's nowhere in the house really to do this besides the top floor, this room in bed. So that's what you get if you're watching.
I don't know if I like doing work in bed more, or like if I'm better at doing work in bed, but I do enjoy it more. Just like kind of in a reclined position, kind of just,
Yeah,
typing away.
I'm not that good at that. I don't like that. I
No.
think when it's time for me to fucking get shit done, I need to be like properly sitting up and like in an area where I'm meant to be working.
You need a standing desk.
A guy like me, yeah. I mean, who's constantly in training, get real. I'm in my training outfit right now. I woke up this morning, it looked foggy out, and I was like, cool, I'm going to hit the streets. I'm ready to run. And then I go out to run, and you're like, it's pouring. Like,
Yeah,
"Oh."
sometimes you can't see the rain.
Yeah, you can't really tell, But whatever. I've been training like a motherfucker.
How's that going?
Great. It's my life. That's my life. No days off. It's just trying to normalize getting 5 miles of running before I do anything. And that's been going good. I've been doing that for some months now.
Yeah, I'm on like 5 days.
Yeah, that's for you. That's a personal world record for you.
Yeah.
You're going doing any exercise is a personal world record for you. It's something you really you resist for some reason, and it's crazy because you have this influence in your life that's like, let's go, let's do it, and you're just like, no, it ain't for me. Sometimes it drives me fucking cuckoo. So I give you a pep talk.
I wish I could attribute, like, you definitely gave me the pep talk, and that really helped me. But it being in conjunction with, we just did read a book with like the book club in the Discord, and it's all about keeping balance. Like, it goes into this world where in order to have like productive dreams or valuable dreams, you have to kind of like keep your life in balance, which means like not overexerting yourself, but definitely not underexerting yourself, which is where I lean. So, mixed with like you being like, stop the shit, and that kind of like, okay, I can do this in service to something bigger. Like, I can live more in alignment and balance, and realizing like, okay, I really do live most of my life out of balance, like stationary and that sort of thing. And I think that different people's baseline balance is different. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
I probably need to work out more than I do, but probably maybe not as much as someone like you that needs to like burn off some fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've been good. I think another big motivating factor. I worked this into my motivational speech towards you, like that our sex will be better.
Yeah, that was the biggest factor.
Yeah, that one works.
I know.
When you start incorporating that, just be like, yo, there's a dimension of our sex that we're maybe not tapping into because we're not as embodied, because one of us never fucking exercises for some reason.
I know.
I'm getting all suited up to go out there, and you'll just watch me go out the door every day and do all this work and get fucking jacked and commit and fucking meet my goals, and you're just like, that's cool. That's
I'm psyched
fine.
for you.
Yeah, I'm very happy for you. And I'm like, yo, what about our sex though? Like, we could fucking take it up a notch. Let's do it.
Yeah, because I have a big mind-body disconnect that I'm working on.
Yeah, your head's in the clouds.
Yeah, I think so. I've been told that, but it's okay. I'm working on it. You can work with these things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's that time of year, It's back to school time, so.
This is the best time to get out there because in like the heat of the summer, it's like brutal. It's like painful, like oppressive. Like you can't even breathe. The heat is just like.
Yeah. Well,
you're like already.
This is part of your problem.
I'm on my excuse train.
Yeah, this is part of your problem. You slip so easily into it, you don't even notice it.
Well,
it's summer days aren't that good for me, and then winter days don't really work. Fall is just a little too beautiful and mild to be running around out there. And spring, forget about it. I just don't even think about it. But.
And talk about my period. Like,
oh, yeah. No, you definitely, you get your period and you're like, well, I need 3 months off from fucking exercising. And I'm like, what is this aversion? What the fuck is the issue?
Yeah, you kicked my ass last time because I had my period and I was like, I didn't run for a week. And you're like,
you didn't run for fucking 2 months. You had your period once and you didn't run for 2 months. I literally watched you just like throw away your good habits because you got your period.
Yeah, because I get off that track. There's a track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
And you get off that track, and you kind of just reminded me, like, hey, you haven't had your period in a little bit. Like, what's your excuse?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's only 75 degrees and perfect out. I can't see why I would be out there.
You literally, it's funny because I don't even think you hear the excuses that you start feeding yourself, And
Well, that's what's good about accountability and having a partner who, and that's what I like about our relationship so much, is that you just call me on my shit, and I need to be called on my shit. And I feel like it's not really fair that I put you in that position, of giving you so much shit that you need to call me on, but I appreciate it.
I do it less and less. There's not a lot of shit to call you on. There's a lot of shit to call me on, but you're not necessarily in that game, I mean, look, when it's time,
sometimes you're calling me on my shit, and I'm like, dude, do you know how much shit I don't call you on? That you have a lot of shit too. You know what I mean? I'll say that sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just looking out for the bare minimum basics. Like, what do we need to achieve a good day? What do we need to achieve good sex, to achieve good sleep, to achieve moments of joy throughout the day? And so I'm like in that, like,
you have a bigger picture.
Just, it's like simple foundational, you can work out the details of how we do that stuff, but I'm just trying to set us up well.
Yeah, how could I get mad at you when you're like, your motivation is for us to have a better relationship and a better life, and to live a long, healthy life?
Yeah.
It's not always fun to hear, but it's like, how could I argue with it?
Yeah, we want to live a long life together. We want to have a lot of fun. So, and look, we're up here in Maine because your mom broke her foot. Because she's at an age where her body's not working for her as much. And what I'm trying to tell you now, so I know you're half her age, but just get the good habits, so when you're not doing them, you feel it and you get back to doing them.
It definitely is motivating being around someone who doesn't have full use of their body.
Mm-hmm.
To be like, I used to feel this all the time when I would go to my grandparents, who have since passed, but you go to a retirement condominium community, and you're like, people are walking very slow, and you're like, all right, I use it or lose it.
Yeah.
And also just to be grateful that you have something that you can move. It's just like this gratitude check of like, oh, you're choosing not to use your body, but you have this you're not always going to have this body that could run 5 miles or whatever it is.
That's the way I'm thinking about it. And then Mare sent us a video the other day of, how old is that woman? 90?
Yeah, 93 or
93
6 or something.
or some shit. And she looks like in her 60s. And people, her family's like, so what's the secret? And she's like, there really is no secret. And then she thinks about it for a second. She's like, well, I never really have stopped moving my whole life. I never stagnate. I'm always working on something. I'm always running around doing something in the garden out here, playing with these kids, doing it. So she's just talking about how she's gotten a lot of exercise. She hasn't fallen into a sedentary lifestyle.
There seem to be a couple of components, like maintaining passions that keep your brain alive seems to be really important.
Yeah.
Your dad somehow is defying all odds, and I think it's partly just that, he can't stop. So you could say now he probably hasn't done push-ups in 10 years, but I remember once I was like, drop and give me 20, and he did.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, he's fucking strong as hell.
Yeah, he looks strong too.
I don't know how it's possible.
He's always dragging the hose up to the garden, and
That's true. He's always doing something. He's always going down the steps to take the recycling out, or doing that, like weird little stuff like that. And the vague outline of 6-pack abs underneath fucking years of only drinking cream soda and eating goddamn a gallon of pudding every night. But there is weird there's definition under there. And I'm pretty sure his main workout is just coughing his brains out for 45 minutes every night when he smokes pot.
That'll do it.
Yeah, definitely. To start the day and end the day with a coughing fit, the likes of which if people heard it, they would be disturbed. Starting out and ending the day like that, that's a good fitness routine. That'll get your blood flowing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Should we announce my new venture?
Of course.
Yeah. I'm available for, I guess we'll call it creative consulting.
Yeah. You're basically opening up your time to talk to people. And I think I've heard you on the phone so many times giving God damn, forget needing a coach all the time, like a kick in the ass from you is like, I don't know. It's helped my life tremendously.
Yeah.
You're able to see through things, and kind of call people on their shit, and also like have a vision that is what's necessary to like bring projects to the next dimension. So I always hear you on the phone talking to people and like kind of breaking their brain as far as like how they were thinking about going about their project, and kind of just like reminding people what it takes. I mean, you've done 14 films or something insane, and you never stop putting out stuff. So it's like, I think you have a lot of wisdom as far as how to do that.
This would be the first time in my life that I even feel comfortable offering something like this. You know, so basically the deal is like, there's a link out there. We'll put it in the description, but schedule an hour or two with me, and there's a questionnaire you'll get when you schedule it, and it's basically just like, hey, why do you want to talk to me? Is there a project, or is there something you want me to check out before we go into this? Is there any goals you want to achieve? And we could get into it. And it's stuff I feel like I've been doing this kind of thing since I first made a film. Like, people always like just like being like, hey, can I pick your brain? And I've been wide open to it for like 15 years, and I've done a lot of that stuff. And now I'm like, all right, I need to charge for my time a little bit for that kind of thing.
Well, this is the modern era where we're all figuring out how we can work from home, because that seems to be what's required of us. So we're all being adaptable and figuring it out. And Mare's had a lot of success, and a lot of people have found a lot of value from booking readings with her.
Yeah, she does astrological readings, which the link is also in the description.
Yeah, my mom's going to do one with her today.
Yeah.
But I think kind of the wisdom you have isn't just applicable to people who want to pursue film. You know, I think you have a way of kind of like reading a situation and kind of tapping people into their power. And I'm addicted to it, so.
Well, yeah, yeah. And it's funny because I've noticed over the years, like, unless you really have been a fan of this podcast from day one, I don't think a lot of people know that version of me. That's like,
the Sag Moon version.
Get your fucking shit together. What the
flame
fuck
thrower?
are you doing? Yeah, because I try to tamp that down on here. Even a lot of people that like I call me for advice and this and that, I hold that part of me back, because I'm like, I don't know, that's my trip. But and I don't want to bum people out, and I don't want to be like overly influential, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's my way of seeing the world. But as the years have gone by, I'm like, that could help people. I'm just not comfortable doing it unless they want me to do it. It's like a big consent thing. So if you give me money, cool. You're consenting to me fucking taking out the flamethrower.
Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. That's the only reason because I'm already doing this, and I got a lot out of it. Like, to me, being in service is that's the top of the mountain. Like what we're here doing with your mom right now. It's like, I feel happier than I could in any other facet of my life. And same thing when I'm like giving out advice or whatever you want to call this.
Yeah, and I think what's best about your advice too is like, you have to want a life of art and creativity, not necessarily like, a lot of people are like, come to me and learn how to make money.
Yeah.
And learn how to like be a successful businessman. And while I feel like you really have those skills and wisdom, your priority is like living in integrity and in alignment.
Yeah.
And I think that
because all that other stuff comes from that.
Yeah.
And I only know that from living it. You know, the best things have happened to me and us in our career, in our artistic pursuits, when we've doubled down on it. You know, when we head straight into the storm, when we say, all right, there's going to be sacrifices. That's cool. We're down. We're down to do hard work. We're down to make sacrifices. We're down to get into a game with the universe where we're extremely devoted. And that's not, I'm not talking about like religiosity. I'm talking about like devoted to your friends, your family, your art, that kind of thing. I don't know. As I've made more things and made more friends, I feel like I've tapped into a wisdom that feels like it doesn't just apply to me anymore. Mm. So I want to share it. And like I said, I think I only really feel comfortable fully doing it. And You know, like I don't want to fuck up someone's project. I don't want to fuck up their momentum. I don't want to. But if you're coming to me like, yo, I need.
I don't think you fuck up people's. I think the majority of people are stagnating in
Yeah.
life because it's easy to procrastinate or stagnate or not know what to do next or be scared of taking the leap or the jump or also being so tied to perfectionism that you can't put anything out.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of afflictions that we have in this modern society.
And I've seen them all.
Yeah.
I've seen them all. I've dealt with them all, either through myself or through you.
Mostly through me.
Well, through myself first and foremost, through you secondly, through Mare third, and then every other fucking person that I know that's ever tried to make anything and get it out there. I've seen every angle. I've seen every excuse. I've seen every delay. I've seen the people that rush their shit out and it falls flat. And I've seen people that are precious with their shit for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, and it goes nowhere and they're not garnering any kind of momentum in their life. So
I think it's also valuable to get clear with what your priorities are. And I think that you help clarify that. Like,
yeah.
Is your priority to make art? And if it is, like, it's about the momentum to like become the artist you wish to be.
Yeah, there really is no workaround, and that's the main. When we put out a movie, that's like the main thing people want to know. They're like, "What's the shortcut?" And they often ask it in the form of like, "What camera and lenses did you use?" Like, oh yeah, that's why this is a hit, because of our camera and lens choices. That's the most often question I get asked about our movies, and I always say like, that's somebody who's never experienced the feelings we're eliciting in them through art. They can't deal with it, and they don't know how to compartmentalize and comprehend this. So they're like, this must boil down to some very formulaic mathematical thing that I can replicate. It's not magic. It's got to be something I can do. What are the camera and lenses you use? And it's just like, I don't know. That would be like obsessing about what strings Jerry had on his guitar. It's like, yo, it ain't the fucking wand, it's the wizard. You have to fucking get down with that mentality. And just realizing you're a wizard. And realizing that there is art and expressions that want to pour out of you. And that a lot of us have gone to work damming that part of our soul up. And it starts to leak out in some ways, and it starts to leak out in the form of anxiety and depression. That's your creative energy being mischanneled. You know, that's your creative energy being channeled into negativity and a negative story about yourself. And there's a way to rechannel that. There's a way to fucking let the dam loose and fucking fully go towards that form of expression, whatever turns you on, you know?
Yeah.
When I was on the fence about what I am and what I'm doing, I never get the full fucking the brunt of the benefits of it either, if that makes sense.
No, and I would like, of course, want to see everyone's art, you know, and I think that having allies in that process and people who have your back and accountability is like so valuable. Yeah.
I mean, the amount of like right this week we're dealing with a kid who's like out there like in the world trying to get films funded and made, and he's got $5 million to get 4 films made, this and that. And I apparently I talked to this kid once when he was in college, and it really turned him on. And now he's thinking about me 10 years later.
I can think of like 10 people off the top of my head who you basically told to like quit their job, and it's not like it like they like were on like an easy path and their life has been easy since then, but because it's to quit your job is not like the easy path. Like it's easy to just stay working for someone and stay in the grind, and like, I mean, easy because you don't have to make those decisions or face the challenges of insecurity or instability. But the people who I know who you were like, you should follow your passion and follow your art, are like so psyched that they did. And it's like led them on the most like beautiful journey, and made them cinematographers or documentary filmmakers or different types of artists, or, you know, someone who like, I don't know, wants to make their own mark on this world. Yeah. And the meaning of life is to make meaning of your life. And it's like, and it's sitting there waiting for you, and you get one shot at this, and
I just hate to see so many people sacrifice it for comfort and for something that they think is easy. And nothing is easy. So do the hard thing, which is become an artist. Like that to me, like because it's the most fulfilling thing. Even like I was tripping out on the other day while I was running. I got to give myself something to think about because like we raw dog it. It's like you're just out there, no headphones, nothing, just fucking doing it. So I was thinking about though, like how it really is in terms of what I know about human evolution. This is like the first point in our history where we can really fucking do this. Like we were so concerned with survival for so long, and now we get to concern ourselves with expression. And I think a lot of people are really they're caught on that threshold. You know, you face that dweller on the threshold that's sitting there. It's a little troll that's fucking telling you like, nah. And it's an amalgamation of all your fears and all of humanity's fears. And it's saying, concern yourself with your survival. Don't concern yourself with divine expression. And that's what it's a tough thing because that's the first thing you're going to have to confront is you, the dweller on the threshold. Mm-hmm. And what do you want to do? What are you trying to do? You know? And it's really actually pretty easy to extract that from people. Even people who haven't even thought about that or conceived of it for themselves, it's pretty easy to extract that. Yeah.
No, and I think this give and take format of like someone, because you are in your pattern of like seeing things a certain way, but like when someone else hears you express yourself, they can hear things that you can't necessarily hear and pick up patterns that you can't even see. You're like in the ocean. You can't see the water around you, but someone else can. And I just want to shout out also Shanti on our Discord is doing dream interpretations, which is cool too. Like
that's a great service.
That's a great service, right?
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I think he recommended a great book. What was the book you guys read for book club?
The Kin of Ada is Waiting for You.
Yeah, check that one out. Even just Cass describing this book to me turned me on. So
yeah, I know I wanted you to read it so we could talk about it, but yeah, it's
Well, it all happens so fast. You guys pick a book for the book club, and then like a few weeks later, you're like, I'm done. Let's go. And I'm like, yeah, it takes me like a month to fucking find the focus to read.
I know
that's
why we right now are kind of picking like short, accessible books because
Okay.
it can be more challenging to like or daunting.
That was rad, y'all. I love the book club and the art club. I want to do a film club in the Discord too, like where we all watch a movie together.
Yeah.
That could even be a weekly thing. Like this is the movie we're watching. If anyone wants to talk about it, pop in, Sunday at 10 p.m.
Yeah, everything has its season. Like the art club was really popping off for a little bit, but then summer comes and everyone just wants to be outside. But I can like kind of feel that energy coming up again. And I want to evolve the art club because into a place where it's like, okay, yeah, you can share what you've been working on and what you want to work on, but like let's just do work together. And so you can just like have this time where we set aside where it's like we're gonna make something. You know, and you can either like I do another art group where we started doing this, and it was like we do like inspiration based off images, and take like 5-10 minutes per image, and like the stuff that I did, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. You know, it was really fun.
Yeah, it reminds me of remember when we got to go to Portugal to teach documentary?
Yeah, that was really fun.
And it was like, what are we going to do? Like, what are we going to do with this place? Like, I guess I could sit up there and just talk, but like there's kind of a language barrier. Like, there's definitely an age gap thing going on. I'm like, I don't know what would turn these kids on. So we just talked to them about spirituality and creativity and what we think creativity is. And we made a film with them. That was the only way to do it. And it's like you see the difference between like sitting there and pontificating about what it would be like to go out there and interview somebody and just making someone do it. Because, man, that first day when all those kids came back, we're like, all right, cool, we've talked about this enough. Everyone go out there and talk to a stranger, catch an interview with them. You all have cell phones. Like, go out there and film it. Let's do it. Let's all collect some as many interviews as we can over the course of this week, and we'll put them together at the end. And that'll be a project that we've made together. And it was so cool. But just seeing the kids like light up and like they didn't think they could do it, and then they did do it, and then they realized how hard it is to get the guts to do it. But then once you're doing, how easy it is. So stuff like that. I was just seeing that transformation. It's cool. It's cool. I feel like I was saying, this is probably the first point in my life that I feel comfortable giving back in that kind of way. Like I've always been down to like let people pick my brain or whatever, and just always caveat it with like this is just one man's opinion, this and that. But like I've collected enough wisdom and I've made enough things, and now that I'm like, all right, I'm comfortable dishing it out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the karmic burden of it is its own dance of like, no.
What?
No. I mean, everyone takes everything with a little grain of salt, and you use what works for you,
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to talk to Devin today about hypnosis.
Devin Person?
Yeah.
The wizard?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to get into hypnosis?
Yeah, I do. I want to try it more. I really like it. I want to self-hypnotize. I think everything in life is hypnosis. We're all being hypnotized. So it's like I kind of just want to understand how to do it, perceive it, recognize it when it's happening. It just feels like it's kind of like public speaking, just like one of those skill sets that you want to have.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't have the public speaking skill set because I literally can't believe how nervous I get when I'm in front of people talking.
Yeah, but you kill it.
I don't know.
You kill it.
No, Sean. It's okay.
You don't?
I don't kill it. I had to do a best woman speech. What is that called? Maid of honor speech. That was just painful, horrible. I love my friend, and I think I did okay, but like...
You did good. I know I'm so connected to you that I could tell you weren't hitting it the way you wanted to, but objectively, the way it came off was like better than most.
Yeah, okay, I can do things better than
most. But I knew what you wanted to do.
But like, yeah, and then someone
and
had me read they were like, just why don't you do a reading, before our ceremony? And I was so excited about it. I was like, I had like all these big plans to talk about love, and I have all these feelings about it, but when it came to put rubber to the road and write it, I just like, I couldn't do it. I don't know. It was like circuits fry.
It freaked you out.
I get the yips, man.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do about it. I mean, I can't even get into a parking lot. It's like, it's a thing.
You have issues closing. You
have
issues finishing.
Yeah.
Like you could slay a 7-hour drive, but when it's time to just pull into the driveway and put it in park, you literally like...
It's like it uses a different side of your brain or something.
You get fried out. We get into a situation where you have to park and you're like, what?
Well, because I'm already thinking like, there's so many choices. Like,
is this the right...
Like, and it's like, I can't... You're good at committing. Like, I made a decision. This is the decision.
I commit to the parking spot we're going to get in front of Mare's house before we even know it's available.
Yeah,
that's how fucking faithful I am and committed I am. And you're like, a little bit more like, oh, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, and that's not even that. It's like, I get in a spot and I'm like, but is that one over there better? It's like, even when we got the campsite, I was like, but wait.
Oh, you guys.
I killed you.
You killed me. You just, it's like, if there's one way to crush my spirit, it's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We pull into the campgrounds and I'm like, I have no opinion because no matter where we go, Cass is going to be second guessing it. So let's just let her decide. And you decide, and we take out all of our stuff and set it up. And I see you scoping out other campsites.
There must
I'm
be
like, this is just annoying.
I know.
This is just like annoying behavior. Can you like commit to something? Can you just fucking be normal?
I've committed to you.
I committed to you.
I did.
You definitely did. And the universe rewards that. It rewards a level of commitment. I think that's what we're talking about with like even the life of an artist and the life of a filmmaker or whatever. It's like, yeah, what the fuck makes me a filmmaker? Why have I been saying I'm a filmmaker since I'm 16 years old? Like, what the fuck was that? Some sort of future memory? Like I had no idea, and I'm like way past the point of like just delusionally doing this. I'm really doing this at this point. I'm in my 40s now. Your 20s is just like, whatever, I guess I'm this thing, and you have a bunch of bravado and gusto about it. And then your 30s is just like, here's the decade to prove your fucking self at this shit and set yourself up. And then it's like you start getting into no man's land after that, A lot of the people I started out and were my peers at this thing when we started out together have fallen off, a good amount of them. Even a good amount of like our musician friends when we started out like are no longer making music, are no longer performing. It's a hard thing to have the wherewithal to keep going. But I think something about the like just showing up and playing your hand and keep playing your hand and keep showing up and playing your hand, that kind of commitment gets rewarded for sure. I gotta pee.
Cool.
You know what has been a big part of our life and our psyche?
What?
The past at least week. As we came up to your mom's and we're like, well, we're about to be here for like a month and it's going to be intense. Like, trying to find something to watch with her every night, you know. She winds it down kind of early, you know. So we just been watching this series Ozark.
Which somehow all of us haven't seen it.
Yeah, your mom has seen every single fucking show and movie out there. There's nothing you can slip past her. I told her she should start a YouTube channel where she just does blunt reviews on these things for people like her. Yeah. But somehow she hadn't seen Ozark and neither had we. And that was one of the shows like Mare of all people was like, y'all would love Ozark. And I'm like, what? Okay. And I love it. I fucking love it. I'm such a sucker. Shows have gotten so much better. Everything, like pretty much anything you tune into is like ridiculously good.
We even watched the whole Derek Jeter series, The Captain.
Oh my, the Captain, Derek Jeter. Yeah, we're such fucking nerds. That was nerdy. That was as nerdy as it gets for us. Watching 7 hours of Derek Jeter content.
Even when I think about it.
Fuck.
What were we doing?
No, I mean, look.
The first 3 episodes were great.
Yeah. I mean, look, if we're talking about it on here, it was worth it. It was worth that 7-hour journey through there. And it wasn't poorly made. Like, I remember I was like, whoa, Cass, there's a 2-part Derek Jeter thing out. And we're like, let's watch it. And we started watching it. And then I realized, oh, this is 7 parts. And I was like, I don't know if I can fucking watch a 7-hour jag-off about this guy. But then we turned it on, and right away, like, I was just like, this is very competently made.
Yeah, they get into conflict and the larger scope of what was going on in baseball. And it's not just like, yeah, it's about his childhood, but, and his parents and stuff like that. But that's kind of an interesting story, comparatively. And, yeah, it's kind of funny because he's, like, this guy who, like, broke all these barriers as like the first black owner, and like a very notable player. And I'll say, like, I like grew up in New York with Derek Jeter. I never knew he was black. You know what I mean? Like, we both look at him, we're like, he looks Italian. You know what I mean? So there's this like weird dichotomy of like, oh, so much congratulations and excitement and of Derek Jeter, breaking barriers, and then it's like, this is the whitest black guy. You know what I mean? Like, we're celebrating as if we can't look at him and be like, no, you know what I mean?
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not important and stuff like that, and I obviously believe in.
I think, yeah, he definitely went through struggles like coming up as a biracial kid,
Yeah, for sure.
Like in the 80s when things weren't as evolved as they are today, but. This obsession with identity has gone. It's permeated everything. You can rarely find a piece of content out there that isn't obsessed with identity in some way.
Well, it just felt like a way to like give his story all this like grit and gusto, where he like downplayed it his entire life until it's like in vogue to be like.
Until they're trying to fill 7 hours of fucking content. They're
exactly.
Like, what are we going to talk about? This is the most boring baseball player of all time. Like,
he is the most boring baseball player of all time.
He was pretty good.
But know what was the best part of it, which I didn't realize, is that Derek Jeter, from like the age like you of 16 or even younger,
this is useful.
I'm going to be the shortstop for the Yankees. The Yankees weren't even a great team when he was coming up. It was like his grandma lived in Jersey and was a fan.
Yeah.
And that's what he would say. And just like, he would say it, I'm going to be the shortstop for the Yankees. And then he wasn't even on good baseball teams in middle school or high school or whatever.
And he was in Michigan where like, he was the top ranked high school baseball player out of Michigan.
In the nation.
In the whole country. Isn't that crazy?
And he didn't even have a winning team. So it's like
his team sucked. He was just good.
He was obsessed. He was not only good, but he was obsessed with being like, I'm going to be the top baseball player in the nation.
Yeah.
Like, he learned the name of the guy or the kid who was that guy and was like, I'm going to take that title.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
And it's like, he definitely, like, mad respect. He's got very determined.
He's got that Michael Jordan thing.
Oh, totally.
But these are just extreme examples of, like, the stuff that Neville Goddard talks about and that Noah echoes all the time. And, like, you know, so many of the great masters throughout time have spoken to. If you don't have a vision, there's nothing there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he clearly made a lot of sacrifices as far as not really having, like, good personal relationships and good relationship with his wife.
I mean, he retired at 40 and fucking married the hottest chick ever and just, you know.
He has the rest of his life to be a better partner.
He'll be fine. He was just focused for 20 years. To keep a baseball career going for 20 years is unheard of. To stay on the same team for 20 years and be their starting shortstop when it's a team that will, if you're slightly below, if their analytics are showing you're slightly out of line with what the top in baseball is, they'll get rid of you. They don't care. It's the Yankees. It's the evil empire.
And the thing is, though, like, even though he was, like, really great, he also would have been, like, a nobody on any other team. There was something about him being on the Yankees.
Yeah, he definitely could have faded into obscurity on any other team, but it's crazy. He came along and they started winning championships and they started being called a dynasty. And the one thing I will hand it to him, because if you look at his career statistics, there's many better players from his era. A-Rod, and they talk about this in the documentary. Alex Rodriguez, far superior defensively,
but
offensively.
did he have what it takes to win? And that's what Jeter just kept saying. Like, you have to see yourself winning and win. You know.
But he had what it took to do. Like, A-Rod is gifted in another way. He's just more self-centered. You know, Jeter was like, I'm going to be the shortstop for the New York Yankees. And I'm going to do my job well and help deliver championships to that team. Whereas A-Rod is like, I'm baseball's superstar. I want the focus on me. I want to be the top person on any team. I want media attention. He just handled everything way different and achieved it. He's a household name. He's a highly paid sports broadcaster. He's pretty good at it. Whereas Jeter
owns a shitty baseball team.
He owns a shitty baseball team, and he got pushed out as CEO because he's not that good at doing all that stuff. He was a great focused athlete, you know.
Oh, but also we watched the Magic Johnson thing, and it's really impressive, like, this mentality, how people, whether it's Michael Jordan, who now owns the Charlotte Hornets, but then seeing what Magic Johnson did, like the dynasty he creates just with, like, movie theaters and everything else.
Oh yeah, well he's the OG. Sports person to, like, turn it into being a billionaire and, like, post your career. It's pretty crazy. But you don't have to watch The Captain starring Derek Jeter on
watch
ESPN
it for
Plus.
you.
We watched it for you. The best takeaway from it is and I really got a lot from it. I really did get a lot from it to be immersed in someone's world for that amount of time and just seeing the focus. And man, the fucking media in New York are brutal, and they're always just looking for anything to sell papers. And he just, all kinds of shit. Every season, different shit was getting thrown at him. And baseball's no joke. It's 162 games.
I love that at, like, 38 or 39, they were like, the owner came up to him, or the general manager was like, you got to work on your agility and all this stuff.
Yeah, like you're sagging as a shortstop. Like, you're not top tier shortstop. And he was like, okay. Yeah,
and it's also, like, what he does really well, and Jordan has this too, and I think you have this too, is like this, whatever, Jeter, Jordan, and done. Whatever, I'm your biggest fan.
I appreciate that.
Is really use the underdog thing or the doubts as, like, fuel. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people you lose a lot of relationships because you're using, someone said something not great about you. You take what someone else might be like, oh, I forgive them, it's not a big deal. But you're like, no, I need to make this little small comment into something huge because it has to be something for me to battle and go to war with.
Grist for the mill. You use that, you know, you don't internalize it and make it, you know, a part of your sob story. You turn it into the motivation you need. I sound like Jocko right now.
Yeah.
You re-engage.
That's where you're headed, Sean.
But I don't know, maybe. But you really, like, how far vision and focus can take you in life, it's you have the world at your fingertips if you have those things. If you have vision and focus, you can do anything. Everything else is just static, and you got to start seeing it as that. And you can turn it into motivation. You can turn people's like, for me, like, I don't even know. Like I like a lot of people that got into like filmmaking or this or that, like say like, oh yeah, my parents didn't believe I could do this and that. Like, my parents kind of didn't doubt me for some reason. I was like, I'm going to be a filmmaker. And they're like, okay, Sean.
I think they were glad you had something that you wanted to do, a passion you wanted to follow.
They were glad I just wanted to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, no offense to her, but like my sister was coming out of high school, the valedictorian of our high school, top of her class, like full scholarship to wherever she wanted to go. And she didn't really know where she wanted to go or what she wanted to do. There wasn't like a solidified like, okay, cool, I achieved this and I'm going to roll this right into that. And, you know, with some guidance from my mom, she found her passion in life, which is social work, which there is no higher calling than to do that job. But for me, it was art and filmmaking, and I didn't know anyone that did that. And I still don't know a lot of people that do that. And I didn't doubt myself, and my parents didn't doubt me, but the whole world did, because the odds of being successful at that are extremely low, I would think.
This might be controversial territory for me to get into, but I think there is something like about the feminine masculine energy, and some women have more masculine tendencies and some men have more feminine tendencies, but there is this like action versus reaction, or receiving versus doing. Mm-hmm. And I was the same way. Like, my mom she just was like, wanted me to be an artist, so she always pushed me towards. She's like, okay, but you have to take one art class every year. Mm-hmm. You know, like like, and my dad pushed me towards sports. She's like, you have to do one sport every semester. But like, she really held my hand through. Like, I was like, I just want to go to trade school because I don't want to continue learning about chemistry or whatever it is.
You wanted to go towards contentment and survival and
no, I wanted to be a hotel manager or get my MBA and like do. I mean, I'm doing it. Like, I run a business, you know. Yeah. But I kind of wanted to skip to that stage. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I guess I just mirror your sister's experience of like needing that little extra attention. Which is a huge privilege to have parents who can like give that attention to you, and someone who can like believe in you and help you reflect like, okay, what is it that you like, and what would that make sense, and someone who understands like what's going on in life. And like, my mom always said to me, at 27, I didn't even, the career she ended up having, she didn't even know it was a job that existed. Yeah. You know, and that always helped me like get through, like, okay, I have time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely always time. There's always time to find new passions and to switch it up. And, you know, I'm glad we have a container for our passions, because our interests are very varied, and we can kind of filter them all through the medium of documentary film, which is really cool.
Yeah, I have so many things I want to do that it's like, I'm very grateful. I think that's like kind of, I remember being like 16 and being like, had a boyfriend at the time who had a lot of passions. I mean, it was like cars and music and stuff like that. No shit on that. But I was just like, you care about so many things. I don't even care about anything.
Chicks love that shit. It's like, that's a little tip for the guys out there. Babes love when you got like a little something going on. Like, it doesn't even like, it just, if you care about something, you know, like babes love it, you know?
Yeah. And I think a lot of babes end up just on someone else's trajectory, like their boyfriend's trajectory. And I went to enough car shows and watched him work in his car enough times. I was like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah. I don't know what that life would have been for you.
I got to figure something else out. I got to figure out what I want to do.
But by the time I met you, you seemed to fully know. Like, I think that's why we clicked so much in the first 5 minutes that we met. It was just like, yeah, I was 28, and I'm like, I'm doing this. I've only made 2 movies, but I'm making my 3rd, and I'm going to keep fucking doing it. And
I know we both looked at each other and we're like, we want to make documentaries that aren't like typical documentaries. And at the time, that was really rare. It wasn't like everyone and their mom wanted to make a documentary. Mm-hmm. So it was special at that moment.
Yeah, I'm glad that it's blown up as a genre. Mm-hmm. There's a really cool graph on Reddit, like showing the different genres of film, and from the invention of the medium till now, and like which ones were popular, and like documentaries like down here, and then like in the 2000s just explodes. Just like how many documentaries have been made since the year 2000 compared to how many were made before. It's like it dwarfs it. Whereas like, Westerns were like very much at the beginning and then it trails off, and other, you just watch all the genres.
I think everybody has one documentary in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, then they should.
Everyone has one documentary in you. Like, and the thing is like, I've talked to a lot of people that maybe documentary is not their thing, but they're like, I have this thing I really care about and I want to document it. So do it. Like, we literally made Trump rally on our cell phone. Yeah. And like, people at Vice called you and were like, hey.
What camera lenses did you use?
Well, they were like, this is really good. Like, who are you? Because they didn't connect the dots with the other guys at Vice who had called you in after American Juggalo and you know what I mean? But like the guys who called you in after Trump rally, a film we made on our cell phone, didn't realize the body of work you already had. And they were like, whoa, where did you come from? And it was just that validation, I think. Wizard, not the wand. But also that like compelling movies can be made on your cell phone. And like the stuff that we love is like the rawest stuff on YouTube. You know what I mean? I want to get little visions into other people's worlds. I mean, this is why we do this. You get a sneak peek into our fucking
crazy
wild
mindset.
wild and wonderful adventure.
Yeah, but it's funny because I feel like when I first started out making documentaries, it just felt like the Wild West. It feels like, oh wow, anything's possible, and people were making all kinds of weird and interesting things, and it's just kind of like gets co-opted and commodified and
formulated and stuff like that.
And it just gets like I don't know, it just like even 5 years ago it just felt like much more exciting array of films was being presented, and now it's like been whittled down to this formulaic, paint by numbers type of documentary filmmaking.
Which works for someone like you who always wants to break the mold. You can't help it but to like not want to do what's been done before. So I think it helps you like stay on the crest of a wave in a way that people maybe don't recognize until.
That's fine. I don't care if they recognize it. I'm way past that point. You know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who gives a shit? Like, I think we've made some innovations and done some things that then become, standard operating procedure in other people's films, and
but then you're like, well, everyone's doing the standard operating procedure. It's like, well, there's new territory for you, and that's what's exciting, because it's like, oh, all right, well, it's like my job to take this further now.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
It's my job to make documentaries in a way that people didn't even know documentaries could be made, or the way they could like feel, or the feelings that they could give you, or breaking out the rules of how it's presented. And that's why we immediately respected the Jeter one, is because it didn't feel like they followed like a formula of like it was just like what's the most fucking interesting thing. And that's what I've always respected about you, is like you're like, okay, what is just gonna feel good? Let's feel good. You know?
I mean, or feel anything.
Feel something.
Yeah, exactly. And respect the audience enough to know that they can draw their own conclusions. You don't have to fucking spoon feed it to them.
That definitely seems to be like a marker of great art, though, is like it makes you feel something.
Yeah, absolutely.
It helps connect you with other people, because it's like one of the, I think, most potent ways that we can form connections with someone else, is like by the creation and consumption of art.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the creation of it, I can speak very well to, has made me who I am. Because if I want to do this for the long haul, I gotta keep expanding my consciousness. I have to keep breaking through into new territory of my own soul.
Yeah, and
then it'll be reflected in the films, of course.
And I think also not mark your success by like, oh, did I get a Netflix deal or whatever it is. It's like this, half the documentaries on Netflix are like the fucking stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, not half. Fucking most. The vast majority. Yeah. And it's fine. Like, we'll watch them, and
I'm grateful.
We'll have our criticisms.
I'm so grateful, like, that Gibney has done like almost every topic. Like, I want to see Gibney do every topic, but that doesn't mean there's not room for like Dunn to do that topic too, because every artist.
Nobody would do it like me, you know.
Yeah, we always get upset that people are stealing our ideas, because we've seen it happen a million times. We are pitching Cam Girls to HBO. They hold us up for a bit. We make this beautiful film that they're like, okay, we're not doing it, and then we see they make Cam Girls which they hadn't even known what a cam girl was when we had this meeting with the head of documentary. And then 6 months later, we see a shit out documentary series with cam girls that's done completely via Zoom and Skype. And this is pre-pandemic. So it's like, man, it really grinded our gears for a
really
second.
Chapped my ass. I mean, it does for a second. And then you're like, oh, cool. All right. I get it. You're a business. You didn't want to pay us $300,000 to make this. Instead, you wanted to just use interns and just shit out what they think is the same thing because they're just covering the same topic, but it's completely different. Like we're working on this, we're developing this series now, The Family Trip, and the people we're developing it with, they're hilarious. Like this, who did that thing? Oh, the Michael Pollan. Remember that Michael Pollan book, How to Change Your Mind? Mm-hmm. They made a Netflix series out of it. You watched the whole thing?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
they did a great job. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm psyched they did it. I'm psyched that exists. I'm psyched that that's a resource now for parents and stuff like that, or anyone. It's like a lot of stuff that probably everyone watching knows.
Yeah.
But like really broken down in a way that's makes sense and compelling. And I just like want this generation that was so spooked off these drugs and was fed so much misinformation and so much fear stuff to like kind of absorb it and be like, oh, these are actually tools that can be used and they don't just fry your brain.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, the people we're partnered with on this immediately, they hear about and see that series and they're like, oh, fuck, they stole or they whatever, you know, now we can't do it. And it's like, no, now we can do it
Our way.
Even more artistically. We don't have to cover that. They're taking psychedelics mainstream and we're going to be able to fucking push off of that to take documentaries about psychedelics way further and way more experiential than like the thing that's going on now, which is just like sit down interview and cut away to the same footage we've all seen of people in the 1950s on LSD getting fucked with by doctors and soldiers taking it and not being able to kill people. And like, we've all seen that. We've all seen those stories. We know all that shit. We know what LSD does, but like now this series exists that just is like the Wikipedia entry for this shit. And we can take it much further. And I think that carves out space for our films to be much more relevant, you know.
Totally. We don't have to.
But it's funny when you get met with that fear response by someone who's maybe never made any art themselves, and just seeing how someone's like so stuck in that mindset that they can't even feel ours, you know, like, and ours is just like, who cares? Like, whatever, we're still going to dominate. We're still going to fucking crush it at this. This is still going to be a hugely successful, important series, probably more so now that other people are playing around in that territory. We do not have to be the canary in the coal mine for this shit. And I feel like we were in a lot of ways with the short films that we made, Sweet Nothing and Joshua Tree, you know. But
yeah, we were like, can we even do this? Like, film people tripping.
Can you film people tripping and do it in an authentic way that's not fucking up their trip, where they can be introspective, and we can make it in a visceral way where the viewer doesn't have to take that drug and they can experience it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, for us, it's like definitely been like our filmmaking process is like, you always say it's like a spiritual quest, but it totally is, because this might sound pretentious, but like there's like a way that I think you and I have just had to like, I don't want to say purify, that's what sounds bad, but like continue to humble ourselves and get to the place of like being more present, because that's what serves being present with someone in a moment. Mm-hmm. And if you can be present in a moment, then you can authentically capture that moment without disrupting the energy, you know, something to
exactly.
that effect.
That's what it comes down to.
And I'm still learning every day how to do that. You know what I mean? Like learning how to like settle into a moment so that we can capture the moment as authentically as possible.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's good to have motivating factors to try to grow in that way. And it's not all on you, you know. It is in some ways, a lot of it, but like I'm the one that the subject has to like latch on to.
Sometimes you throw me to the wolves, though. Sometimes you're like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I'm reading the situation, like, and there's no one answer for how to deal with this situation and that. You just kind of.
Sometimes you put me in there. And like we're doing an interview, and then after you're like, Cass, like you were a little like intense and like, you got to calm down. I'm like, this is your job. I'm doing what? I have to do my job and your job. What are you doing to me? You know what I mean? And I don't always nail it, but sometimes I think that you've been like, all right, let's see how it goes if we let Cass be the one who asks the questions, and it doesn't always play out as well. And I'm like, well, that's your fault, because.
But you got to understand what I'm doing in that situation. What I'm doing is like, okay, this person knows they got hired to be the subject of a commercial documentary that we're making. And they're expecting a certain level of question and answer that I'm just not really that like hyped on doing, and I don't want them to associate that with me. So yes, it is me throwing you to the wolves.
I know.
It's me saying, okay, I see what you're expecting right now. I'm going to give you a taste of that and what that feels like. By the time you start talking to me, you're going to take on a whole different persona, because you're going to feel like that part of it's over.
Yeah.
The formal part of it. The thing you're expecting and you have always seen in documentaries, Cass just did with you. Now I'm going to come in and have a little conversation with you, and that's what we're going to end up using. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
You know what I'm doing. It's not
fine.
Laziness, or I don't want to do my job, or I don't care about this. It's literally like, oh, I see this person's over-prepared. That's not what I'm going for. Cass is over-prepared too. You guys can meet there, do your little thing, burn out that energy, and then I'm going to come through and not even ask a question. I'm not even going to fucking say anything. I'm just going to fucking cut through all of that shit, and you're going to end up saying something or doing something that is so a reflection of your purest form that people from across the world are going to be able to see and relate with that, Yeah. There's no amount of, to me, questioning or little, strategies that you can come up with beforehand that can replace someone like me who knows what I want in the final product, knows how to get it, and know it's not going to be like I'm saying, a paint by numbers type of formula to get there.
Yeah, no, I'm here for it. You can use me as a tool whenever you want, however you want. I'll do it.
It's worked out great. Like I feel like for like Florida Man, I was throwing you to the wolves in terms of like, you'd be the first person our subjects would see, And
I would wear the shortest shorts.
Yeah, you're just like being a hot chick down in Florida, like just hanging around with your cute eyes, just like looking at people, and they would see that and be attracted to it. And behind that facade, there's 4 boys with cameras and and sound equipment, and like, we come in and we get we just capture that fucking weirdness.
I love it though, because of the moments where it's like you weren't in the room, or I was doing something with Isaac or whatever. I'm like, when I watch the film, I'm like really proud of those moments.
Like, I
did that one.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah, no, you've done some of our most iconic scenes in our movies, like have been like, I had nothing to do with that one. Those guys in Florida, man, like that we were just driving by and they were walking around and you just rolled down the window. It's late at night. You just rolled down the window and you're like, hey, can we talk to you? And they're like, sure, yeah, whatever. And you went into their place.
Yeah.
And they're talking about the prostitutes and everything. And it's like Beavis and Butthead, and they're just like sitting there laughing like,
yeah, they're like a little nervous laughing, probably because they're telling me about the prostitutes.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that scene. And Isaac's camera work, like he starts in on this one guy and he's just like pulling back and it's revealing this fucking weird ass room that these guys are in, and then you see the other guy that's with them. It's just like, it's fucking brilliant. And that's what we in the business we call 50-50. When the director just moonwalks out and just let a natural moment take place there. Yeah, that's, and look, and the movie we're currently making is filled with that shit. It feels like that. It's like we're mining for authenticity, and a lot of times when a camera's around, it kind of just like disrupts that whole process. And I guess a lot of people that are doing this are fine with that, and fine with people, coming off as like the prim and proper version of themselves. But like, I don't want to settle for that. I want someone to be real.
Well, we're just trying to get something like very visceral and of the moment. And a lot of movies, especially documentaries, they have to like cover what has happened before. It's like a completely different dance and art form in a way. And yeah, it's kind of nice that like we're like, okay, we'll leave that to other people. Like, I'm psyched that we just watched the Woodstock train wreck, Woodstock 99 on Netflix.
Yeah.
We were waiting for this one because we saw the one on HBO.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're obviously fascinated with Woodstock 99. What's not to love?
Yeah, come on. The party of the century. The party of the millennia.
God, we can't help it though. Every time we watch it, we're like, all right, if we were in this situation, how would we do it? Because it's such a shit show. It's like the worst festival ever thrown.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a judgment, but in a lot of ways, it's just horrible.
Yeah.
Just like set up for failure, you know, expensive waters, no bathroom, no trash pickup, just like fucking no security.
Talk about throwing people to the wolves.
Oh my God.
You know, in the middle of the summer, fucking 100-degree days, no shade. Like, that was the thing we kept noticing on this one. Like, I was like, I'm obsessed with every wide shot that they show that there's no shade.
No trees, no tents, no nothing.
There's nothing.
People are just frying.
Yep, frying out
And we're
there.
we're very particular to the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So we always are like, all right, we go in a situation like, okay, where are we going to set up? Like, where's our water? Okay, how are we going to make this like as comfortable for us and our homies as possible?
How are we going to get water? How are we going to eat? How are we going to have sex? How are we going to get shade?
Yeah.
You know, so we can enjoy the music, so we can enjoy people, so we can enjoy our trips.
Yeah. But I think we both agreed that we would probably have lasted the first night and then gotten the fuck out of there.
Oh, yeah, we're not the type to be like, oh, we bought these tickets and we have to fucking...
I have to see Limp Bizkit.
No, it's like, no, I'm good. Yeah, I don't care
when
what
the fun's
band's
over,
playing.
we're out.
Yeah, exactly.
When the fun is not accessible, we're out.
Yeah. So it is fascinating to watch. Like, it's a great title, Trainwreck, because it's what it is. It was a train wreck, and it was happening.
It's a fast-moving train that there was like there's no stopping it.
Yeah.
You know, it just like keeps building momentum in a way.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it was a disaster. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. It was a disaster Friday night.
Jesus Christ.
We would have been so gone. We would have just read the vibe there and been like, cool, this is. But what's fascinating and what's beautiful about documentary is like a lot of people chose to stay there. Those people are not like us. I want to learn from them. I want to see who they are. I want to see what they have to say.
The people who swam around in the mud and feces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And left probably being like, that was the best weekend of my life, you know?
And they did.
And I'm sure it was for a lot of people. And I'm sure it was the worst weekend of a lot of people's lives too.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big takeaway on that one is you know, they have this one girl who it's like 22 years later, and she's just talking about just all the horror and atrocities and the suffering that she was witnessing and fucking had to go through to be there. And then it cuts to an interview of her on Monday morning of Woodstock 99, and she's this 14-year-old girl, and they're like, she's just talking about all this stuff like, it was fucking crazy, I don't know. And the interviewer is like, would you do it again? And she's like, oh, absolutely, without a doubt, and without a hesitation, absolutely. This is kind of like a vision quest for people. I think.
Yeah. Kids need to party.
Yeah, well, but they need to party, but then they needed to go through something, you know, and it felt like it united that crowd in a way, and it didn't turn out good. They ended up burning the place down.
But I had a lot more sympathy for when I watched the one on HBO, I was like, these fucking assholes. Like, these are monsters. And then watching the one on Netflix, I'm like, I probably would have been burning this place down too. Like, these festival people, like, they fucked these kids.
Oh yeah, and
these
they did
kids
it on purpose.
were fucked to make money.
Yep.
I would have fucking been tearing that place apart myself.
Absolutely, and you know, it's a good thing that those kids did that and they tore that place apart, because I think it sent a message. But obviously, the message wasn't that well received, because oddly, Woodstock '99, even though it was a disaster, became like the prototype for all the festivals that are going on now. They just take a little better care of you, but they're still looking to fleece you, and they do. And you know, it's not the best conditions, and it's all based on greed. And the crazy thing is, like, that's what the organizers of that festival that's all they were tuned into. That was their highest intention was money. Mm-hmm. And when they first did this, the highest intention was peace and love.
Right.
And look how the two turned out. Look at one
they were
compared
trying
to the
like,
other.
99, they're like, how do we corporatize peace and love? Like,
yes. Yeah.
How do we show peace and love without actually being it?
It was just such a beautiful warning shot for what things became, because what it was them saying, how do we present the facade of peace and love while really just fucking having corporate greed be the name of the game, and that's been the name of the game ever since. It was before that, but just this idea of just like, as long as we present the facade of that, we've covered our bases.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what identity politics is all about. That's what all the stuff that all the mess we're in now is all based on that type of attitude. And that's the neoliberal mindset, is just as long as it presents well.
Well, and you see who gets hurt the most. I mean, the amount of sexual assault and rape that took place, it's when you don't take care of people, it's the women who suffer.
Oh, of course.
Yep. Because it's, with all due respect, it's the more powerful gender takes advantage of the less powerful gender and takes what they want when they're not given what they need.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Yeah. Gnarly. But I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
The documentary. I mean, it's interesting. It was drawn out, of course, like everything. It was a 3-hour slog to get through it.
But we didn't have to be there, and we were there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we got to
cool.
experience it from the comfort of our own home. Like,
yeah.
Didn't have to sit through a whole like Limp Bizkit thing or Sheryl Crow or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they did do a Woodstock 94, and I remember thinking that was pretty cool. I watched that on pay-per-view when I was a 13-year-old lad, and Green Day played.
I'm sorry, back to 99. I just love how, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Korn, Rage Against the Machine, like
Limp Bizkit.
Like, a lot of people blame them because they incited riots, but like, that's their music. They had the hugest crowd
they were ever going to play.
They were ever going to play in front of, and you wanted them to not scream like fire and burn it down and like
break stuff.
Yeah, break stuff, and like that's their song, that's their thing. They did their job incredibly to the fullest extent.
You can't blame the artists. Of course, that's who is going to end up taking the blame, and that's who everyone wants to blame. Fred Durst, and like, the guy was a fucking quintessential douchebag, but like, what are you gonna do? These people were all very much aware from the. If they weren't aware before they hit the stage, when they did hit the stage, they were aware of the moment that they were in.
Yeah.
They're playing to 250,000 people who are there to see them.
And they lived it up, and they did it up, and I kind of respect that. Like,
I respect that.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, like, fire started, and then like the last song.
Like a fire started out in the crowd, and they pulled them off stage, and they were like, "Yo, whoa, like
we need to
calm this down." And then they realized, like, oh, stopping the music is not making it any better. Like, get back out there. And they went into a cover of Jimi Hendrix' Fire.
Yeah.
John Frusciante on guitar, like Flea completely naked playing bass. It was fucking sick, but it made people even more insane. I don't know. I just think it's all beautiful.
Yeah, you look at the crowd of people, like the wave, like where people, like their feet aren't even touching the ground. Mm-hmm. Like people are just getting pulled, and it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
And I would have hated it every second of it. Yeah. We went to a Rancid show at Terminal 5. I'm still pissed at Rancid. Like,
You're mad at the band.
I'm mad at the band. I'm like, fuck these bros. Like, fuck these guys. Because I was like...
We're in the back.
I was in the back of a huge venue. And I'm like getting pulled off my feet and getting like... And like, there's something, I guess, cool about that. But like, I didn't want that.
The whole place became a circle pit.
Yeah, and I go into the pit when it's a band I like. I'm like, I don't even care that much about Rancid. So being in the back and getting like in a pit, I'm like, fuck these guys.
I think someone gave us tickets to that or something. I don't even know how we ended up at that thing.
But it
turned you off big time.
No, because it's like I didn't have control of my body anymore. Yeah. Of where I wanted to be.
It's terrifying.
It was so scary.
Yeah. I protected you though.
Yeah, of course.
I know how to handle that situation because I went to, I think it was... Yeah, I mean, that's one way. It's a lot more stressful when I'm in there with my beautiful baby girl,
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you have going for me is that I'm kind of tall.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in that situation at I think Warped Tour 1999 or 2000, and NoFX was one of the headliners, and that was the band everybody was there to see, including me and my girlfriend, my cousin, and all of our friends. Like, we were psyched. So, like, we're, like, getting into the crowd right before NoFX goes on. And before they even go on, and mind you, this is at Randall's Island, and they chose to put the stages, like, on the softball field. So it's just all dirt, and it hadn't rained in weeks. So the whole place was just dust. You were literally coughing up and sneezing out dust for like a week after. Like, mud was coming out. Like, it was insane. So we're all, after a day of just breathing that all day, we go into the epicenter of it, and we're psyched because it's our first time seeing NoFX, and they come out, and it's probably a crowd of 5,000 to 10,000 people standing in front of the stage. And it just, the second they hit their first note, dust cloud comes up, the whole thing turned into not just like one circle pit, like 19 little satellite circle pits everywhere, just insanity, pure chaos. And like, me and her are just like you're saying, feet off the ground. We're just getting moved with the crowd, and neither one of us could breathe. We were just started panicking, and it was like, the eject button in that situation is just crowd surf on out. So
Yeah.
I boosted up Kathleen, boosted myself up, and got the fuck out of there. And we just watched the band from way further away and paid the price in terms of, like I said, fucking sneezing up mud for a week. But that was the most terrifying. Like, that's when I really first encountered, like, whoa, a crowd of people is like,
It's dangerous.
scary as hell.
I mean, you see what happened with, what is it, Travis Scott or what?
I guess. Yeah, that rapper guy, Astro
Yeah.
World.
Yeah. Fucking horrible.
I mean, it happens all the fucking time.
Yeah.
It happens all the time, not just at concerts, just any large gatherings of people.
But mad respect to the people who like get in there and fucking power through it and
Yeah.
like want to be part of like a larger organism. I think there is something like where you kind of like it is like an ego dissolvent, like and the beat drops and you're just like, whoom, you know, like
yeah,
there
and
is
if you
something
don't
awesome
start
about that.
dancing with the crowd, you're swimming upstream, and it's gonna be extremely uncomfortable and dangerous.
Yeah, for people like us who like to go to our own beat, it's not the best.
No. I've just done countless fucking mosh pits and insane crowds and stage diving and crowd surf. I've done it so many times. I've broken my ankle in the middle of a fucking circle pit. Like, yeah, I've
Seal
done it.
crawled out.
Oh my god. Yeah, I was way too old for that. I was
Oh,
fucking
man.
29 years old.
Yo, I'm glad I had my time with you in the mosh pit, like, because
Yeah.
when we got together, I was younger and like 21 or 22.
Just experiencing like punk music live.
Yeah, and doing my first crowd surfing and like just having a great time. But then I saw enough girls like coming out of the pit with a bloody nose, and I was
Yeah.
like, I think my days at this are done.
Yeah,
You know, like,
yeah.
I just like, there's a certain point where you're like, I don't want to hurt myself.
Yeah.
I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
Like, the odds are just against you. Like, I'm like, I fucking survived those times. Now let's
Yeah.
get the fuck out
But
of
I
here.
mean, there's shows we've been to. Like, I think of like Bouncing Souls do those Home for the Holidays shows at Stone Pony in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I love those shows.
So
like,
fun.
it's like Bouncing Souls headlines, and then they get like 3 awesome bands to open. And we saw one that was Plow United,
Leftover Crack.
Choking Victim,
Oh, Choking Victim. Okay.
and Bouncing Souls. And I'm like, I worship all 3 of these. These are 3
That was a really fun
pivotal
night.
bands for me. We show up, and it's like they clearly oversold this club. They sold way too many tickets. Like, you can't even walk around in here. So that becomes a situation where the smartest thing you can do is be right in the pit, because that's the only place you have breathing room.
I always go behind, like, I kind of like
Right at the back wall of the pit.
back
just
wall of
kind
the
of being
pit
the person that's
behind
just
the
like,
security guard. It's like kind of what I do.
yeah. I mean, so you just got to assess the situation.
Once
when
I
you get
went
in
to
there.
a Lamb of God show,
Holy shit.
and I was against the wall and just had to be like this the whole time.
Even that's barely going to protect you in a situation like that.
I got out of there, I just fucking puked.
Really?
It was just like so much sensation. I just had
Yeah.
to like whatever expel it.
Yeah.
This has been a great conversation. I have to pee. Do you want to
Okay,
maybe
cool.
wrap it
Yeah,
up?
let's wrap it up. Thank you for listening to us ramble on.
Ramble on, yeah.
Rambling on. Yeah, again, I'm doing like creative consultations / spiritual tuning / kicking the balls, pep talks. You can book those. There's a link down below. Join our Patreon. There's lots of bonus podcasts on there that are just too hot for YouTube.
Oh, and the Discord, which I just started an AI art channel where you can create AI art, which is, I think, the funnest thing ever.
Yeah.
Where you just like put in a couple terms and then instantly this AI art will generate things for you, which is just
man,
like,
we've been having some fun with
I'm
that.
already having a lot of fun with it. And if you want to be in the next book club, we're doing The Alchemist, which I'm obviously have been meaning to read for a while, and now I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are reading it again because they're like, I want to read it again. So this should be a fun conversation.
Yeah, so if you want to be part of our Discord or hear our secret podcast with me and Joey, that's called Boys Club. And
you guys are fools.
Yeah. The many bonus episodes that we've done, plus the archive of Church of Chill music episodes, that's all on patreon.com/Church of Chill. Get real with yourself. Join us. Join the community. Like, let's have a good fucking time.
I think it's the best one out there.
It's pay whatever you want. So, you know.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. Yeah, join us. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace, love, and magic, y'all. Shh.